Today we're doing college football player props on PrizePicks for Saturday, November 19th. Before I get started though, there's a link in the description below to sign up for PrizePicks, or you can use promo code TUFF to sign up. PrizePicks will match 100% of your first deposit. There's a Discord link in the description as well as Patreon link in the description below of this video, where I do post all the plays here that I'm making on PrizePicks for each given sport that I do play. I also do deep dive and core analysis for multiple plays on PrizePicks for Patreon, so go ahead and check out that link in the description below. And also, I have to mention, I'm not a gambling expert. This is not financial advice. These are simply just the plays I'm personally looking at making, hopefully giving you guys some insight and analysis to make your own player prop decisions here. But let's get into it, you guys. Saturday, November 19th, we have some pretty exciting matchups here on the college football slate. Let's get into it. First play is going to be, I have to give two plays here because I just love these two plays. Like, I'm going to literally pair these in quite a bit of parlays this weekend for college football. For myself personally, I like Zach Charbonnet over 125.5 rush yards, and I also really love his 25.5 fantasy score. I just think Zach Charbonnet being the player that he is against USC, both these, I can't see a scenario where these don't hit, in my opinion. Again, that is just my opinion here, but Zach Charbonnet over 125.5 rush yards and fantasy score 25.5 over for both of them. But let's get into why I like these plays here. So USC UCLA, the primetime matchup here at college football slate, the PM game, it's 5 p.m. Pacific time. UCLA 8-2, USC 9-1. Obviously, this has major implications on Pac-12 standing, finishing, and things like that. Offense will be at the forefront. Right, defense has been short supply the last 3 times Southern California and UCLA have met in the crosstown showdown. I think last season was like 63-33 or 62-33, like literally 95 total points last season. The over/under for this game is at 76. I think that's a strong chance to go over. USC is 2.5-point favorites. This game is being played at the Rose Bowl. But this is just a matchup for Zach Charbonnet. I mean, you could literally target Zach Charbonnet any time all season, like with his running back props or his running back or his props in general, because he is that dominant of a runner. I mean, we take a look at rush yards. He's hit this in his last 4 games. His only miss was 124 here against Washington, who has a pretty stout run defense. But 198, 151, 198, and 181. And then fantasy score, he's cleared this his last 5 games, 27, 25, 27, 48, and 48. Zach Charbonnet, if you watch Zach Charbonnet play, he is an absolute monster. He's going to be one of the top 3 running backs selected in this year's NFL or next year's NFL draft. Let's take a look at his game log last season against USC, right? This is last season, which was a 62-33 UCLA win, 95 total points. He had 28 carries, 167 for a touchdown. Also had 1 catch for 6 yards, right? 167, just something light. 6 yards per carry for Zach Charbonnet. He's gonna get 22 to 28, maybe 30 carries in this game here against USC, who just can't stop the run and just be getting torched by running backs all season. Zach Charbonnet leading the country in yards per carry. Rush yards per carry, Zach Charbonnet, number 1, 7.53 rush yards per carry. 7.53 rush yards per carry, Zach Charbonnet, leading the country. Number 1 in the country, yards per carry. Take a look at this, right? So Zach Charbonnet, over the last 4 weeks, the 6th most targeted running back in America. Last week, he was the number 1 targeted running back in the country. The number 1 most targeted running back in the country was Zach Charbonnet last week, and if he's not even considered a receiving back, right? I mean, he is a very good receiving back, but he's a dominant runner of the football. Like, he can run the football like no other in the country. And if he's going to see 11 targets, that's why I really, really love fantasy score here as well. Like, I think 125.5 rush yards may be a safer play, right? Obviously, because they're going to run the football, and USC just been getting gashed by the run all year. But 25.5 fantasy score, this is PPR scoring, right? And USC to the running back position in the whole country is pretty up there. Right here, 30.1 fantasy points to the running back position in the country. If we sort this by Pac-12 running backs PPR, USC's got to be like in the top 5. Where we are, running back. Yeah, USC 4th in the Pac-12 in fantasy points to PPR fantasy points to the running back position, right? Stanford, Arizona, Colorado, right? Stanford, Arizona, Colorado are ahead of USC, right? Look how Zach Charbonnet did to those teams. Arizona, 181, 3 touchdowns, 9 catches, and 38 yards. Stanford, 198, 3 touchdowns, 5 catches, 61 yards. And then Colorado, something light. He had 9 carries, 104 yards on 9 carries, and 3 touchdowns for Zach Charbonnet in that game against Colorado. So, I just don't see a scenario where Zach Charbonnet doesn't feast in this game. Obviously, it's going to be extremely high scoring. Both teams are going to have to be going back and forth. I think it's going to be coming down to who can get stops, who can get maybe a turnover. But just take a look at also, I got to share this with you guys, also how previous running backs have kind of done against USC. Now, take in mind, none of these running backs I'm about to show you have the running ability of Zach Charbonnet. But Jaden Ott, Cal running back, had 14 carries for 50 yards, scored 2 rushing touchdowns, but also out the backfield had 7 catches, the second most on the team, for 70 yards. So that's 14 plus 5, that's 19. He would have hit over 25.5 fantasy score, Jaden Ott against USC, which is 41-35. High scoring game, which is going to be like UCLA, USC. Arizona Wildcats running back Michael Wiley, he had 10 carries for 49 yards, a touchdown. That's 10.9 fantasy points. And then he also had another 4 catches for 39 yards. That's what is this? That's like 18 fantasy points from Michael Wiley in this game, which was a pretty high scoring game as well, 45-37. And then Xavier Valade, who was a running back for Arizona State, only 13 carries, 64 yards, and a touchdown. That's 12.4 fantasy points there. And then he also had 2 catches for 29 yards and a touchdown. That's 18, 20, 23 fantasy points for Xavier Valade against USC. Right? So those are 3 running backs who came pretty close to a fantasy score of 25.5, and none of those 3 guys are even close to who Zach Charbonnet is as a player, as a rusher, and just how important he is to UCLA's offense. So love both these plays here. Giving both to you guys. I just got to share these plays. This is like, I love these plays here. Charbonnet fantasy score and Charbonnet rush yards. If he doesn't hit these, I don't know what to say. But love these 2 plays here. These are the first 2 that I'm giving you guys for Saturday, November 19th. Be Quinshon Judkins over 115.5 rush yards here against Arkansas. Just an absolute bell cow back. He's hit the over on this in his last 3 of his last 4 games: 139, 205, and 135. Had 135 against Bama and 205 rushing yards against Texas A&M. A lot of other sports books have this at 118.5, so we're getting a 3-yard discount currently on PrizePicks. But just take a look at Quinshon Judkins. He's getting 25 plus rushing attempts his last 4 games. 25 plus rushing attempts. He's gone over 100 yards in each of these games. 5.6 yards, 4.4 yards, 6 yards a carry, 5.4 yards per carry. He is averaging has the third most rush attempts across the entire country on this season. He's just a freshman. 205 rushing attempts on the season, averaging 5.71 yards per carry here. Ole Miss as a team just loves to run the ball, right? Total rushing attempts on the year, Ole Miss sitting here at number 5, 479 total rush attempts on the season. Now his backfield mate, Zach Evans, currently questionable for this game here. He suffered a concussion against Alabama after he ran the ball 6 times for 10 yards. So obviously, Quinshon Judkins would have a clear path to an even larger volume of carries if, Zach Evans is out. I think he's going to get 20 plus carries in this game regardless. But obviously if Zach Evans is out, I love this play even more, and probably this line will bump up. But we've seen, last week LSU running back Josh Williams had 19 carries for 122, 6.4 yards per carry against Arkansas, who, is it pretty? I think they're a better team than a 5-5 team. I think this game could be a little bit closer than people think. And then we saw both Auburn running backs have some success. 5.7 yards per carry for Tank Bigsby, and then 4.6 yards per carry for Robbie Ashford, who's the quarterback. So both these players here had some decent rush attempts. Only 11 carries for Tank Bigsby at 63 yards. So if Judkins can get 22, 23 plus carries in this game, I think he 5.7 yards per carry is pretty high. And then Mississippi State running back Dylan Johnson had 5.6 yards per carry, 16 carries for 89 yards. And then the backup running back had 16 carries for 52 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. So, if Quinshon Judkins can average around, let's just say, 5 yards per carry here, he's going to get 22 plus carries, even more if Zach Evans is out. He's just a bell cow back. I don't want to overthink this one. Take a look here. The carries that he's gotten over the last 4 weeks, 25, 25, 34, 25, Ole Miss needs to win football games. They need to, continue to perform at a high level to get a decent bowl game, even possibly maybe make a run at a New Year's Six bowl game type of game for them. So I think they continue to feed Judkins here. I just feel like this is one of the safer plays currently on the slate. So Quinshon Judkins over 115.5 rush yards, along with the 2 Zach Charbonnet plays I showed earlier. Let me know in the comments below how you guys feel about these 3 plays here. Drop a like on this video. You guys hit the subscribe button, and as always, let's cash.